For the past 6 weeks, while President Trump has made claims about voter fraud and brought forward several lawsuits with the help of his legal team, the same response has echoed across the mainstream media. Where is the evidence? Well, in Antrim County, a forensic report has made allegations in its conclusions that the Dominion voting machines were deliberately riddled with errors to reduce oversight in the counting process. The name of that county might sound familiar. That's because it came to light when it initially reported on election day that Biden had won by a few thousand votes, which seemed odd for a Republican stronghold. The next day, the corrected figures showed that Trump had indeed won the county, and then the next day showed that he'd won it even more still. They blamed it on human error. Now, we've got that coming up in the video, but first we want to talk about some more recent allegations made about Andrew Cuomo. And I'll hand you over to Connor in a minute, but before I do, thank you to everyone that is joining us today. Hope you've had a fantastic weekend, and I hope you will all consider subscribing to the channel if you do indeed enjoy the content. So without further ado, tell us about Mr. Cuomo. What's he been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. So our favourite person, Governor Cuomo, how's he working out for you, New York? So we have here from the Daily Wire, sexual misconduct allegations were alleged against Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo on Sunday, a development that comes alongside news that Joe Biden reportedly considered Cuomo to be Attorney General. The allegations against Cuomo were made by one of his former advisors, progressive activist. The pause was for dramatic effect. Lindsay Boylan. Boylan made the allegation on Twitter in a series of tweets on her experience of sexual harassment. Now, me and Andrew Cuomo aren't friends, but I do feel sorry for anyone who has a self-described progressive activist accusing you of sexual harassment. Because A, they're the type of people who think farting on the subway is a form of rape, and B, they're going to do whatever they can to ruin you and your career. But anyway, Yas Queen Lindsay Boylan says, yes, Cuomo sexually harassed me for years. Many saw it and many watched. She said, I could never anticipate what to expect. Should I be grilled on my work, which is very good? Of course it was. Or harassed about my looks? Or would it be both in the same conversation? This was the way for years. Not knowing what to expect. What's the most upsetting part, aside from knowing that no one would do a damn thing, even when they saw it? No one, and I know I'm not the only woman, she continued. I'm angry to be put in this situation at all. That's because I am a woman, and I could work hard the whole of my life to better myself and help others, and yet still fall victim, as countless women over generations have, mostly silently. I hate that some men, like Governor Cuomo, abuse their power. So again, I do feel sorry for him because he's falling victim to the same ploy as thousands of celebrities in most recent years haven't they? And whatever you think of him, he stood his mind. He stood as a pragmatist and criticised the more socialist elements of the Democratic Party. But now it seems they're coming for him, doesn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, I still can't help and sit with a little slightly smug face, a wry smile, as I see this unfold, because he's basically going to be, or maybe anyway, undone by the monster that he helped create. And this all kind of stems back to that Me Too movement. Now, I obviously have nothing against, allegations being thoroughly investigated and making sure that people are held accountable. If they, there's absolutely no doubt that people are susceptible to abusing their power, and certainly doing so in a sexual manner. That shouldn't be any surprise to anyone. So what she's saying could well be true. To the sort of extent, like you say, people think farting on a subway counts as rape, and I know that's not sarcasm because you told me about an article that you read about that. I think maybe in the Guardian or something like that. So to what extent, what has actually gone on, I don't know, but I just think it's kind of poetic that he should, if this does indeed sort of end his chances of becoming Attorney General, or at least the pick for Attorney General for Biden, and probably his political career from that point onward. I can't help but feel like that it's kind of like a little bit of poetic justice, because obviously, you shouldn't just believe allegations at face value. You should investigate them. But that's what the left have encouraged us to do: believe allegations at face value, because women would never lie about this sort of thing or exaggerate this sort of thing. And I think that was a stupid policy to have, and now you're going to die by that sword.
Yeah, exactly. But in one area where they do not believe allegations at face value, it's in the field of voter fraud, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, certainly. And it's becoming, I don't know, listen, it's all becoming quite difficult now, I think, day to day, to sort of see all these different things coming out. And I don't feel as though any real progress is being made here in terms of thoroughly investigating all of these claims that are made, and actually kind of getting to the bottom of this and finding the truth. But we have this anyway from the Epoch Times: a forensic audit of Dominion voting system machines and software in Michigan showed that they were designed to create fraud and influence election results, a data firm said Monday. We conclude that the Dominion voting system is intentionally and purposefully designed with inherent errors to create systemic fraud and influence election results, Russell Ramsland Jr., co-founder of Allied Security Operations Group, said in the preliminary report. The system intentionally generates an enormously high number of ballot errors. The electronic ballots are then transferred for adjudication. The intentional errors lead to bulk adjudication of ballots with no oversight, no transparency, and no audit trail. This leads to voter or election fraud. Based on our study, we conclude that the Dominion voting system should not be used in Michigan. We further conclude that results of the Antrim County should not have been certified. And this all came about after Kevin Eisenheimer, 13th Circuit judge, approved the forensic examination, and then he ordered that the report be released earlier today. And they said that these errors resulted in overall tabulation errors or ballots being sent to adjudication. This high error rate proves the Dominion voting system is flawed and does not meet state or federal election laws. A staggering number of votes required adjudication. This is a 2020 issue not seen in previous election cycles, still stored on the server. This is caused by intentional errors on the system. The intentional errors lead to bulk adjudication of ballots with no oversight, no transparency, or no audit trail. Our examination of the server logs indicates that the higher error rate was incongruent with patterns from previous years. The statement attributing these issues to human error is not consistent with the forensic evaluation. And I want to add as well, just at the bottom, Eric Grill, who is the Assistant Attorney General, he said on Monday that the report was inaccurate, incomplete, and misleading, and that faulty assumptions and if it contained faulty assumptions and faulty or incorrect assumptions. I sort of tried to look into that more. He at least as far as I'm aware, he's not sort of clarified what he means, what's faulty, what's incorrect. But certainly if the report is true, it's certainly like what warrants more investigation at the very least, right? Because it seems very, very strange for this data to be sort of surfacing now and what it shows.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself. I think we should get a voice clip of me saying that this is massive, this is a huge blow to Dominion's credibility, and we need to investigate Dominion a bit more. Because I've said this like 6 or 7 or 8 times, and it's really depressing, because how many smoking guns do you need before you start to suspect someone of being the shooter, right? How anyone could still trust this company, it's way beyond me. And now we have a forensic analysis of a voting machine revealing, I mean, goodness gracious me, security logs missing. Someone tried to zero out the results. Basic security measures not followed. I think it said in the report that the antivirus was updated 6 years ago. I mean, all of these allegations to me, and this is a man, he's signed an affidavit. He's put his company's reputation on the line. He's put his own reputation on the line, and he's conducted what seems to be a very thorough forensic analysis. And the left just kind of, pass it off. I mean, it's crazy. And the Electoral College vote was today. What I think might happen is that in a few days they start to take it seriously. Kind of like how with Hunter Biden,
Yeah.
It only became an issue once there is no possible damage that could have been done. I'm starting to think that give it a few days, and suddenly we're going to see a huge avalanche of attention and focus on Dominion, which could possibly coincide with Dominion adjuring to testify in Congress tomorrow, the day after the Electoral College vote.
Yeah. No, the timing is quite suspicious. And this report, I mean, if anything, I'll leave the link in the description to the whole report. But as you say, I mean, just something that wasn't sort of pointed out in the article, but it says here in 1560, I won't read the whole thing, but the security logs were missing, as you said, and the adjudication logs were missing, and they were there for previous years. So it's not like it's normal for them to not be there. They were missing for previous years. That's the only way, he says here, we must removal of these files validates state law and prevents a meaningful audit, even if the secretary wanted to conduct an audit. So without this information, it just makes it impossible to even determine what went on. And I think based upon this, I mean, listen, what I'd probably say is that someone should do a second audit to sort of concur with these findings. And then if that is the case, what just seems like a sensible thing to do would be, like, as you say, continue an investigation, look at more machines and find out what the hell's going on, because certainly what happened in Antrim County on election night, where the votes was completely wrong and then flipped the other way, if that's not a big enough red flag for you, then this should be that maybe possibly not everything is quite kosher up there in Michigan with their voting machines.
No, absolutely. But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, the only red flag good enough for the Democratic Party is the big one with a hammer and sickle on. That was quite a cool joke to end the episode on, wasn't it? I'm quite proud of myself.
The best joke I've ever heard you say, yeah.
So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And can I just take a very, very quick second of your time to give a shout out to a new website we're partnering with. That's freedomfirstpress.com. Seems to be a very good website, still in its early stages, but there's quite a lot of good people there, quite a lot of good conservative action, and we're going to be bringing you some of their content as we go forward. So please do check them out. Please do subscribe. Drop us a like if you enjoyed today's episode, especially if you enjoyed that joke about the red flag, because it was one of my best. And do leave a comment. Tell us what you thought of the episode. Tell us what you think of us. Whatever you want to do. Tell us what you thought of the NFL last night. Thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next time.